Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Hockey Show, that's right. It's Judd. It's AJ. Yes, the Wild are off on an extended break because the Olympics are going on, but Olympic hockey's fantastic. 5:30 in the morning, they're dropping the puck. It's great. And guess what? We are back on the JHS channel from our trip down the street to the Bar Down Beauties channel, where we did a crossover episode after the U.S. opened the tournament with a win. So glad to be back. And AJ, remind the people, since we are back here in our new home, our plush digs, remind the people how they can actually get in on subscribing to Judd's Hockey Channel now that it's a thing.
Yeah, we've been going on here for about a month exactly on this brand new YouTube channel, coming up on a big milestone of 2,500 subs. We are just shy of that, so if you have yet, maybe you watch all the time, but it's more, it just pops up recommended on your home YouTube page. Get it directly in your feed. Get it directly in that subscription tab. Click on the subscribe button right below the video. You'll see it every time we post. If you want to go the extra mile, you hit the bell notification, and it'll update you every single time we upload a video. And if you have yet to maybe check out the video version, maybe you listen in the car, understandable. Maybe you got some time. You got a day off from work coming up here. I think it's President's Day on Monday? You're not going to have to go into the office. Flip on the old tube. Pull up JHS. Subscribe. But thank you to everybody that has done that and continues to consume the content. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. And I am enjoying a delicious cup of coffee in a mug. And you're saying, what's that mug, Sports Dad? And I'm going to tell you right now, it is a mug from my good friends at Victory Tire and Auto, where they believe in relationships, and their goal is to serve customers for the long term. Personalized, trustworthy, and consistent service. What more could you possibly want? It's a family-owned business established right here in Minnesota back in 1997. Victory has an industry-leading 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. That's right, 5 years, 50,000 miles on all parts and labor. Schedule an appointment at any of their 20-plus Twin Cities area locations. Just go to victorytireandauto.com and tell them the Sports Dad sent you. Why? Because you are going to get $25 off any oil change service, if you mention that the Sports Dad sent you. 22 locations right here in our state. Quality work, genuine care for all of life's miles. At Victory Tire and Auto, they do great work, great people, and heck, they make a nice coffee mug as well. Okay, Age, let's start here. So the first game of the day, we're recording this on Friday morning at about 8:50. The first games of the day are done. Finland, which had, of course, suffered an upset loss in the first round of Slovakia, comes back and plays arch rival Sweden with the Gus Bus, Filip Gustavsson from the Wild in goal. Finland wins 4-1, 3 goals on Gus and an empty net goal. Slovakia, which, as I said, beat the Finns in game 1, now goes to 2-0 because they beat the Italians. The next 2 games of today are France and Czechia. Czechia trying to bounce back from that 5-0 loss to Canada. And then Canada will play the Swiss, which has 10 National Hockey League players, including Nashville Predators defenseman Roman Josi, who is the captain for the Swiss. The U.S. is off today. They will play Denmark tomorrow. But so far, let's talk about the Finns game, okay?
Okay.
So Finland, as I said, beat Sweden 4-1. Filip Gustavsson gives up 3 goals, empty net goal. Sweden is, I think, starting the tournament, you probably went Canada favorite, U.S. second, Sweden third. Finland suffered that upset loss, so they had a lot to play for. But what is your feeling so far, Age, about how things are playing out now with several teams are going to end the day with 2 games played?
I thought I was going to be spot on and really correct about how Team Sweden looked, and they just looked nothing like it. For as good as maybe the chemistry looks between Team Canada kind of slicing and dicing, or Team USA, granted, playing Latvia yesterday, looking like the Globetrotters on certain rushes up the ice. Mm-hmm. There seems to be no chemistry. It's like pouring, oil and water together in a glass for Team Sweden, because I just don't see a lot of the chemistry that you would expect out of a national team and guys who should have some familiarity with each other. And then on the back end, I'm still holding off my worry about the goaltending, because as Jesse pointed out on the crossover episode we did, maybe there's some equipment stuff there. They're playing overseas. They're in Milan. There could be some outside factors, But I will say right now, definitely not impressed or satisfied with the performances we've seen from Filip Gustavsson so far. You got to hope he at least bounces back, and he does. Like we know as people who cover the Wild, we are aware that he has stints where maybe he doesn't perform that well for 2-3 games, but then he's able to usually turn it around and get back on the horse, and he looks fantastic. Team Sweden really is going to need that. That being said, at the Olympics, will they stick by him instead of going to a Jacob Markstrom and give him the chance? Right. Finland, good bounce back after getting stonewalled by Minnesota Wild minor league goalie Samuel Levi. He it was a 4-1 win for Slovakia over Finland on the first day of games. They come back, big win today over, I think, apart from winning a medal, this is probably the one game all of Finland had marked on their calendar for the Olympics, so credit to them. We're seeing from Finland, I think, what we see a lot from the World Juniors teams. We see a system that Finland likes to implement, and their stars are playing like stars, but also the guys that maybe are on the bottom six are showing that, hey, we're here to play a role and we can do that.
The guy that stood out to me from the Finns today was their team captain, a familiar name to Wild fans, Mikael Granlund. I mean, this is a style, and look, I think he played pretty well for, I should say, the Dallas Stars in the playoffs last year. He's now with the Ducks. But this is now a veteran guy. Like, I like his game, and his game today was really, really good. So that was impressive. Saros started in goal for the Finns and played great. Gustafsson, so I don't know that he played poorly, but here's my thought. I don't know that Gustafsson played poorly. I thought that the short-handed goal that Yul Armia scored, which was the third goal and the last goal that Gustafsson allowed, because the last goal, as I said before, was an empty net goal for the fourth one. But I'm just curious, okay, in watching this, because these are playoff games. Like, and you're not out, but they're incredibly important games. So here's where I wonder, as I watch this, is Filip Gustavsson capable of winning playoff games? Because, like, the Wild, if you're going to get past Dallas or, Colorado, good luck. But, I mean, if you're talking about that, you're going to need the goaltender not to play good. He's going to have games where he's, and we've talked about this for a long time, stands on his head.
Yeah.
Like, stands on his head. Like, any goal, for the most part, a bad goal. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think he's playing like, he's not terrible. But can he win playoff games against, what looks like it's going to be a gauntlet of elite teams? Because I'll come back to what we've said. If the Wild goes out in the first round, it's a disaster. Like, you need Gustafsson, who I'm assuming is going to be the starting goaltender in the playoffs, especially since there's talk about Volstead possibly being traded. You need Gustafsson to absolutely be locked in, and to use your term, you can't have that blip in the playoffs. Like, that can't happen. So what's your confidence there? Because I do think that this is sort of an interesting window to see Filip Gustavsson in a real pressure-packed situation, playing with a good team, and do I trust you completely? Because I think we at least have to talk about that.
I'll list off the defense names for Team Sweden, and I want you to tell me if you think that this group of defenders is better than what he has with him when he plays for the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
Gustav Forsling, Rasmus Dahlin. Dahlin, I personally love, and, and Gustav Forsling.
And you've got a man crush on Dahlin.
He's incredible. Philip Broberg, Erik Karlsson. Not the same Erik Karlsson that played for like the Sharks, but an Erik Karlsson. Victor Hedman, who still I think is a very capable defender, but he is getting up there in age. And Rasmus Andersson, who just, to my knowledge, was traded
to Vegas, and they have not done well since he got there from Calgary.
Interesting. Are those 6 names, in your opinion, miles better, or is it pretty on par? Is it worse than what maybe he gets with the Minnesota Wild?
Hughes and Faber, I would take above any of those combinations.
I would too.
Now in today's game, like
yes.
5 years ago, it's a totally different story.
Mm-hmm.
Spurgeon is playing with Middleton now, right? Because Brodin is out.
Correct.
So after that, I think it's
let's assume they're healthy too. Like I'll give you back a healthy Brodin for this.
Okay, that's close.
It's closer than you think.
I can't say it's a slam dunk, but it's not. I can't say it's a slam dunk either way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
Hughes and Faber, slam dunk. I'm taking them before anyone you just read. And that doesn't make those guys bad. They're good. But I mean, Quinn Hughes is elite, and Faber is elite when he's playing like that, which he is a lot of the time. But you did not give me, especially with like Eric Carlson, and I don't know if he was on the goal on the ice for goals against, but that is not fantastic. But still, in light of that, I can't have in a playoff game if it's the third pairing, take your pick, Middleton and Hunt or something like that. I need you to make the saves.
For the record as well, both Rasmus Anderson and where is he here? Eric Carlson were -2s today.
Okay. Well, that
So-
sounds.
That sounds about right. And
it
Philip Forsberg, he played more than a shift today. Look at that. 9 minutes of ice time compared to the 1 minute he got, yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I saw that Oliver Ekman Larsson, who I think got a couple of shifts or one shift in Sweden's first game, took a penalty today. So I thought to myself, well, that's it for him playing as well. But yeah, no, I mean, that list of defensemen is good. Don't get me wrong. They're really good. But I would say that would be, if I had the top pairing that I could take of the Wild guys or Sweden's, I would take Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber.
Yeah, there's probably a little more depth there for sure. In terms of like defense, I could maybe hear an argument about how the Wild might be more solid defensively. Like Jared Spurgeon, I think, is a better defender than Eric Carlson, who's on their second pairing. I think Jonas Brodin, when he's healthy, is a much better defense. I mean, he'd be on this team, frankly, if he was healthy right now. And then that third pairing obviously leaves a lot to be desired, whether it's Bogosian, whether it's Middleton, whether it's Damon Hunt, whoever.
Right.
But because of what we've talked about with these teams, where they're coming together and they're not practicing. This is not the 1980 U.S. Olympic team where they played for 9 months ahead of this and developed a system and a culture and all this other stuff. We're a family. You can't bring Timmy Herron in here and just break us up like that. No, this is Swedish superstars who are being brought over, and they've probably been on the team for a while, but you're not practicing day in, day out for multiple months and figuring out your system. You're kind of working off what you know already. There's going to be breakdowns, and that's what you get with these teams that are kind of put together on a whim. We see this, and maybe we give it more slack at World Juniors because those kids, they're kids, and it's a very similar situation. This is the Olympics. They're adults, and they're coming from teams where to maybe take a page out of what JT Miller did yesterday. He's using like his NHL mind of, okay, I can kind of get into the house of the goaltender. Well, that's actually goaltender interference here. That's a rule thing.
Right.
But in terms of a system thing here, and when we're talking about Team Sweden defensively, it might not be as buttoned up as Filip Gustavsson typically gets with the Wild defenders in front of him.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. It's
not to just like cut him a lot of slack here. Obviously, you'd probably want to see him stop more pucks.
Yep. All right. To the U.S. game.
Yeah.
And we talked about this on Bar Down quite a bit, so we won't belabor it too much. And then they play, so they won their first game. They play against Latvia. They play Denmark on Saturday. But I do want to circle back to this. When do you think we are going to know more about like their improvement? Because it's going to be hopefully incremental game by game. And how confident now are you that when they start to play the most important games out of group play, and we've talked about the fact that group play is not very good, what is your confidence that this team is going to be ready to fire on all cylinders against superior competition to what I think they're going to see first, for sure in the first two games? And I certainly don't expect, despite the fact that Germans have Leon Draisaitl, that the U.S. is going to lose. They should not lose to Germany.
I don't know I don't know that I'm going to get my stamp of approval. I know they're ready for the best of the best here at any point during these first three preliminary games. But tomorrow against Denmark, I need to see them come out and start playing like we saw in the second period of yesterday's game against Latvia. There was a warming up period, and I'm not going to belabor it. I'm not going to, I guess, continue to harp on it because it is the first game of the first period. It's the first period of the first game of the Olympics for this team. There's going to be a probably growing into the game process, and I don't expect them to fire on all cylinders right from the get-go, as much as maybe me and a lot of the fans watching would love to. What we
Sure.
saw in the second, though, they were quick. The passing was crisp. In the first, it was like they were an elite hockey team at almost scoring. What we saw was an elite hockey team at actually scoring and generating chances in the second period. They didn't really give Latvia a chance to breathe. Merzlikins got pulled after that second period, I think solely because he just was out. He was exhausted from the work that he had.
That's accurate.
It's not like he had a poor performance. It's just he was simply exhausted from how many shots he faced and how often he was in that crouched position, ready to stop pucks. If you show me that right away against Denmark, you can play like that for 60 minutes, then the score should be pretty lopsided there. I expect it to be a little closer because we've seen Italy, who, frankly, I don't know about you, I didn't expect much out of. They've played two pretty competitive games here now. At one point, granted, they only had 4 shots, but it was a tie game like midway through against the Swedes.
Yep.
And then what they do today, they lost to
Slovakia, beat them 3-2.
Yeah, so I mean, and
That's a
Slovakia,
close game.
and that's a close game, like a 3-2 game. So they're representing for their country pretty well. I think better than I expected them to. But Germany is a much better hockey nation, in my opinion, than what I expected out of Italy. So I expect more of a competition there. You still should win very handedly if you're the U.S. So I need to see that, and then it's like, okay, now we're seeing this momentum. You carry it over, and that's where maybe I feel more confident about going into that playoff round, the quarterfinals.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's ordinarily in the Olympic tournaments in both men's and women's hockey, you start to get some absolute blowouts. But here's the interesting thing. So through what is now 3 days of games in the men's tournament, the biggest margin of victory was Canada's 5-0 win over Czechia. Besides that, it's been 4 goals, 2 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, and then Slovakia Italy game we talked about, 1 goal. So that's a bit of a change. It feels to me like we ordinarily, especially in best on best, when these teams that have a bunch of National Hockey League players are playing the Italians, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like the Italians get beat by 9 goals or 10 goals. So it's worth noting that we are getting far closer games, and Czechia is not terrible. Canada beat them just because they're so good, 5-0, but like that's not a Czechia team where you're like, oh, poor Czechia, they're awful. They're not. So it might be recency bias, but I've always felt to me, especially when the pros are playing, that we get these absolute blowouts. We are not seeing that yet, which is A, more fun to watch the game, and B, a compliment, I guess, to the state of the hockey programs in these countries.
Yeah.
Because 5-0, I mean, look at some previous scores from years gone by. 5-0 would be a drop in the bucket. And in fact, 20 years ago, Canada probably wins by 9 goals, or Sweden, Sweden, to your point, gets by the Italians barely. Well, 20 years ago, Sweden probably beats them by 10 goals.
Yeah, we're having very rough conversations after those games in the past. The only ones that I would expect maybe would be actual blowouts. I mean, even if you include the women's side of things, the biggest blowout has been a 5-0 score, I think, a couple times. Like the U.S. did that to Canada. I think Sweden did that to a team as well. But the only ones that I would expect maybe coming forward, because the U.S., I think they should win handily, but I don't know if they blow out Denmark. They should, personally, but you're not going to see maybe as lopsided of a score is maybe I think a Sunday game where Canada takes on France, because they just frankly don't have much talent, if at all, from the NHL. Alexander Texier is there, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Yeah, who's now playing back there.
Exactly. And otherwise, if you look at their roster, it's going to be a rough go for the French on Sunday. So that's one
if
where
they lose by 5, I'd be very happy.
If it's a 5-0 game, I think they plant their,
I'd take it.
They trot out there and do Les Miserables at center ice. By all means, to put on a full production. That'd be a celebration for them. but yeah, for the overall like competition, it makes these games a lot easier to watch because at a certain point, we see this with hockey tournaments all the time where even at the state tournament level here in Minnesota, you get those maybe first round matchups where it's the 1 versus 8 and it's over not even 8 minutes into the game, and you're just like, well, we have to sit here and watch this until the final buzzer. You feel bad for one side because there's not much they can do, and in this
Right.
is that like that's in front of the state. People in Montana don't really care about. This is the Olympics where the world is watching you just get your teeth kicked in by Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon dancing all over you. So we'll see about that, but it's been pretty entertaining so far to watch these very arguably more competitive games than we've had in the past.
I just love when it's 4 games. They start Central Time, 5:30 in the morning. Then I think you get a 9:40 game, and then my favorite part is the 2 o'clock game, the 2:10 game, and that's it. So like, but
There you
it's
go.
it's fun to watch. I'm still concerned about guys being hurt, I guess. So Jets defenseman Josh Morrissey, who's really good, left the Canadian game because of injury yesterday. I think Mikkola for Finland blocked a shot today, and he left. And he did exactly what you hate, which is he turned sideways, and it hit. Yep, and it hit the inside of that padding there instead of it being straight on to a shin pad. That shin pad turns into sort of a soft cushion there, right?
Yeah.
And so it hit the inside of that. But anyway, so far so good. Again, the U.S. plays Denmark. We will continue on Saturday. We will continue to do these shows. I'm not sure exactly about what time because I'm going to have to be at the golf show on Saturday. But we will carve out some time to do a show after that game. And then the U.S. concludes the pool play portion of the tournament in its group on Sunday against Germany. So plenty more to come from Judd's Hockey Show. He's AJ. I'm the sports dad, Judd, and we will talk to you later.